The Morrison & Klein consulting lobby gleams with afternoon light. Sarah Wellington stands near the glass elevators in her pressed navy suit, typing furiously on her phone. A black man in a crisp white polo and navy slacks approaches, carrying a leather portfolio. "Excuse me, I think we're headed to the same." Sarah glances up, her eyes scanning his casual attire. She doesn't let him finish. The mailroom is in the basement. Her voice is clipped, dismissive. "This elevator is for employees only." Stanley Davis keeps his hand steady on his portfolio. "Actually, Ms. Wellington, Look, I don't have time for this." Sarah crosses her arms, taking a half step back. "Security can help you find wherever you need to go. I have a meeting." She turns her back, heels clicking against marble as she walks toward the elevator bank. Stanley watches her go, his expression carefully neutral. The elevator doors slide closed. She has no idea she just dismissed the only person with the power to save her career. 3 months earlier, Morrison & Klein Consulting was riding high. Client retention at 94%. Employee satisfaction scores in the green. Sarah Wellington's department got mentioned in the quarterly earnings call. Today, the numbers tell a different story. Sarah sits in her office on the 14th floor. Through the windows, Michigan Avenue stretches below, afternoon traffic gleaming in weak winter sunlight. She built this view into her identity. 8 years climbing from junior analyst to senior manager. University of Wisconsin MBA. 34 years old, and convinced the VP promotion has her name on it. Her father was a corporate lawyer. Her mother sold luxury real estate in Milwaukee suburbs. Sarah grew up in Whitefish Bay, summered in Door County, and never once questioned whether the path ahead was clear because she'd earned it, or because it was already paved. The department has problems she doesn't see. Client loss at 40% over 18 months. Employee turnover at 65%, worse among people of color. 3 discrimination complaints filed with HR in the past year, all dismissed as cultural misunderstandings. Sarah deleted those emails. She told herself people were too sensitive. That professionalism mattered more than comfort. That standards were standards. But the board saw something she didn't. They brought in an outsider to fix it. Across town, in a hotel suite overlooking Lake Michigan, Stanley Davis reviews his notes one last time. The suite is quiet. Minimalist furniture, a laptop open on the desk, 3 monitors showing spreadsheets and org charts. He grew up on the east side of Detroit. His mother worked as a public school teacher, grading papers by lamplight after dinner. He wore thrift store blazers to debate tournaments and studied for the SATs on the city bus. Full scholarship to University of Michigan. Harvard MBA on a fellowship. At 28, he made junior partner at McKinsey faster than anyone in his cohort. At 35, he led a restructuring that saved 600 jobs at a failing automaker. Now at 42, he runs his own consultancy. 15 successful turnarounds. 13 companies transformed. 2 that couldn't be saved. The Wall Street Journal called him the executive company's call when the house is burning and everyone's too comfortable to smell the smoke. He doesn't wear suits to first meetings. Never has. It's a test he runs on every organization to see if people respect competence or just conformity. This morning, his phone shows 3 unread messages. His COO, Marcus. His lead analyst, Jennifer. His executive assistant, David. Boss, finished the Morrison & Klein deep dive. The talent is there. The culture is toxic. 12 exit interviews all say the same thing. If you don't fit a certain profile, you're invisible. Can we fix it? Stanley closes his laptop. He's dealt with companies like this before. Good people trapped in bad systems. Managers who've never examined their own biases because they've never had to. The board gave him one mandate. Fix it or burn it down. 3 months. Your call. He picks up his portfolio and heads for the door. Tomorrow morning, Sarah Wellington will walk into the boardroom for the department meeting. She'll see the empty chair at the head of the table and wonder who the new SVP is. She'll flip through the briefing packet. She'll notice the name, Stanley Davis, Senior Vice President of Operations. And she'll remember nothing. Not the polo shirt. Not the portfolio. Not the moment in the lobby when she looked at a man and saw only what she expected to see. But Stanley will remember. He remembers everything. What happens when Sarah walks into that boardroom and sees Stanley's face? Subscribe to find out how one moment of bias unravels an entire career. And tell me where in the world you're watching from. Sarah Wellington's office sits on the 14th floor, corner space with windows facing Michigan Avenue. She fought for this office. Literally elbowed out Marcus Chun from accounting when the previous occupant retired. 8 years at Morrison & Klein, and she'd climbed every rung, junior analyst to associate to manager to senior manager of client strategy. The view meant something. It meant she'd arrived. Monday morning, she sips her green juice and scrolls through strategy briefs. The VP of Client Strategy position opens in 60 days. She's been positioning for it since last year, landed the Hartwell Industries account, mentored 2 promising junior analysts, built her reputation as tough but fair. Her colleague Derek thinks he has a shot, but Sarah's already 3 moves ahead. She doesn't notice the patterns in her wins. The junior analysts she mentors, both white women who went to Big Ten schools like she did. The clients she connects with most, CEOs who summer where her parents summered. The colleagues she trusts, people who talk like her, dress like her, see the world like her. What Sarah doesn't know, 3 discrimination complaints were filed against her department in the past year. All quietly settled. All citing the same issue, people of color feeling invisible, overlooked, pushed out. She deleted those emails. Called them oversensitive. Told HR that professionalism wasn't discrimination. Across town, Stanley Davis sits in his hotel suite at the Peninsula, 3 monitors glowing in the pre-dawn darkness. He's been in Chicago for 3 weeks, working remotely while studying Morrison & Klein from the inside out. The files tell a story he's seen before. Client Strategy Division hemorrhaging talent, 65% turnover, with people of color leaving within 18 months. Exit interviews say the same thing in different words. Culture fit issues. Didn't feel valued. Ideas dismissed. Not given opportunities. Then there's the client loss. 40% in 18 months. The board is panicking about lawsuits and reputation damage. Stanley grew up knowing what code words meant. His mother worked 2 jobs in Detroit while putting herself through community college at night. She taught him to read between lines, to see what people didn't say. When his performance reviews at McKinsey said sometimes too direct, he knew they meant makes white partners uncomfortable. When they said needs to work on executive presence, they meant doesn't sound like us. He built his career decoding that language and dismantling the systems that created it. University of Michigan on a full ride. Harvard MBA on fellowship. 8 years at McKinsey. Then COO at a failing manufacturing firm, where he turned everything around in 18 months. Now at 42, he's the executive company's call when the house is burning and everyone's too comfortable to smell the smoke. The Morrison & Klein CEO called 3 weeks ago with one mandate. Fix it or burn it down. 90 days. Your call. Stanley clicks through Sarah Wellington's file. Strong performance reviews. Client relationships. Ambitious. Then the phrase that makes him pause. Sometimes struggles with collaborative leadership. He's seen this code before. It usually means, doesn't work well with people who don't look like her. Sunday afternoon, he decides to visit the office early. Get a feel for the space before the official introduction Monday morning. He dresses in his white polo and navy slacks, professional but not traditional. It's a test he runs everywhere, to see if people respect competence or just conformity. He walks into the Morrison & Klein lobby carrying his leather portfolio. And that's when he sees her. Sunday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Sarah sits at her desk, presentation deck open on both monitors. Derek's out of town for his sister's wedding, which means she's got the entire weekend to get ahead. She's building the Q1 strategy pitch, the one that'll prove she's ready for VP. Every slide perfect. Every number airtight. She leans back, stretches, checks her watch. Starbucks run. The lobby cafe stays open Sundays for people like her. Dedicated, ambitious, willing to work when others rest. Stanley enters the building through the main doors, leather portfolio under his arm. He's scheduled to meet building security about office access, get his badge activated, review the executive floor layout. Simple logistics before Monday's official start. Sarah returns from the cafe, caramel macchiato in hand, already mentally drafting her opening slide. She sees him near the elevator bank. Business casual, but not suited. Portfolio, but not briefcase. Her brain makes calculations she doesn't recognize as bias. Visitors check in at the desk. Why is he just wandering? She approaches with that specific corporate energy, helpful on the surface, questioning underneath. Excuse me, I think we're headed to the same, Stanley begins. The mailroom is in the basement. Her voice is crisp, professional, dismissive. This elevator is for employees only. Stanley adjusts his grip on his portfolio. Actually, Ms. Wellington, Look, I don't have time for this. She crosses her arms. Security can help you find where you need to go. Behind her, another employee exits the elevator. White man, late 30s, wearing jeans and a hoodie. Sunday casual. Sarah's face transforms. Hey Mike, working Sunday too? Mike grins. You know it. Trying to finish the Henderson analysis. Same. Good luck with it. Warm. Collegial. Easy. She turns back to Stanley, the warmth evaporating. This area is for employees and executives. Security is right over there. Stanley could end this in seconds. The offer letter in his portfolio. The CEO's personal cell number, saved in his phone. The executive badge waiting for him at the security desk. Instead, he watches her. Studies the certainty in her posture, the absolute lack of doubt that she's right. This is exactly what they hired him to fix. Not just the policies or the metrics, the instinct that makes someone look at him and see a problem to be removed. Understood, he says quietly. Sarah walks away, heels clicking against marble. Doesn't look back. Gets in the elevator. The doors close. Stanley continues to the security desk. The guard on duty, Marcus, older black man with gray at his temples, looks up from his computer. He saw the whole thing. Says nothing at first, just pulls out the paperwork for Stanley's badge. That happened to you a lot? Marcus finally asks, voice low. Stanley signs the form. More than it should. Less than it used to. Marcus nods, understanding in the silence. But that's why I'm here, Stanley adds. Back in her office, Sarah returns to her presentation. The interaction already forgotten. She texts her friend Melissa. Some random guy trying to wander around the office on a Sunday faced with rolling eyes. Security needs to be more careful. That night, she meal preps for the week. Grilled chicken, quinoa, roasted vegetables. Watches 3 episodes of her current Netflix show. Sleeps soundly. Zero awareness that she just made the worst professional mistake of her life. Monday morning is 12 hours away. Sarah arrives at 8:45 a.m., sharp black suit, leather portfolio, the armor of someone ready to win the week. But the office has a different energy today. People clustered near the coffee station, voices low and urgent. Something's happening. Jennifer from finance catches her at the elevator. Have you heard? The new SVP starts today. Apparently he's some hotshot from McKinsey. Sarah's stomach drops half an inch. I thought they weren't filling that role until next quarter. Emergency hire. Board brought him in to fix our division. Jennifer lowers her voice. Some people are nervous. Sarah forces a smile. My numbers are solid. I'm not worried. But her hands tighten on her coffee cup as she walks to her office. By 9 a.m., the main conference room is packed. Every seat filled, people standing against the back wall. Sarah finds a spot near the middle, scanning for Derek. He's 3 rows back, looking uncomfortable. CEO Robert Morrison stands at the front, gray suit, practiced smile. Thank you all for being here. As you know, our division has faced significant challenges over the past 18 months. Client retention, employee satisfaction, cultural alignment, corporate speak for, we're hemorrhaging talent and the board is panicking. We've brought in exceptional leadership to guide us through transformation. Someone with a proven track record of organizational excellence. Sarah half listens, mentally reviewing her quarterly numbers. Hartwell Industries alone brought in $2.3 million. She's safe. Without further ado, Morrison continues, I'd like to introduce your new Senior Vice President of Operations, Stanley Davis. The side door opens. Stanley walks in, navy suit, crisp white shirt, red tie. Confident, commanding, completely transformed from Sunday afternoon. The room applauds, polite and uncertain. Sarah's coffee cup freezes halfway to her mouth. No, that can't be. It's him. The man from the lobby. The man she dismissed. The man she directed to security like he was lost. Her vision tunnels. The applause sounds distant, underwater. Her colleague Emma leans over, whispers, "Wow, he looks intense. Think he's going to fire people." Sarah can't respond. Can't breathe. Stanley steps to the podium. "Thank you, Robert. I'm grateful for this opportunity." His voice is calm, authoritative. Nothing like Sunday's quiet attempt at introduction. "I've spent my career helping organizations unlock their potential. McKinsey, manufacturing sector transformation, operational excellence. My expertise is in building systems that work for everyone." His eyes scan the room methodically, land on Sarah for exactly 2 seconds. His expression doesn't change, doesn't acknowledge her, moves on. Somehow that's worse than anger. That's assessment. That's a decision being made in real time. "Over the next 90 days, I'll be conducting comprehensive evaluations," Stanley continues. "One-on-ones with each team member. Client interviews. Performance reviews. Cultural assessments." The room goes quieter. "My job isn't to fire people. My job is to build the strongest possible team. If you're committed to excellence and genuine growth, you have nothing to worry about." He pauses. The silence stretches. However, his voice firms. "If there are cultural issues, performance gaps, or leadership problems, we will address them. Directly." People shift in their seats. Someone coughs. "I believe in transparency. My door is open. Let's get to work." The meeting ends. People file out slowly, processing. Sarah tries to reach the hallway, to catch Stanley, but he's immediately surrounded by executives. Morrison's hand on his shoulder, introducing him to department heads. She retreats to her office, opens her email, types with shaking hands. "Mr. Davis, I'd like to schedule time to introduce myself properly. Welcome to Morrison and Klein." She stares at the screen. Deletes, "Introduce myself properly." Too obvious. "Mr. Davis, welcome to Morrison and Klein. I'd appreciate the opportunity to discuss our department's strategic initiatives at your earliest convenience." Professional. Safe. Send. 20 minutes later, his assistant responds. "Mr. Davis will be conducting evaluations in alphabetical order by department. You're scheduled for week 4. He'll send a calendar invitation. Week 4. 28 days away. Sarah sits at her desk, heart hammering, replaying Sunday frame by frame. The dismissal. The condescension. Mike getting warmth while Stanley got suspicion. She needs to fix this. But how do you apologize for something you can barely admit was wrong? Week 1. Stanley's door closes and opens like clockwork. Junior staff first, analysts, consultants, coordinators. People Sarah barely notices in the hallway. He asks everyone the same questions. What's working? What's not? Do you feel valued here? Jamal Thompson, black analyst, 3rd year. Sits across from Stanley's temporary office, hands folded carefully. I've pitched 3 major strategies this quarter. Strong research, client data, competitive analysis. None made it to client presentations. But my colleague Emma pitched something similar last month. He pauses. She presented it to Hartwell Industries. Got recognized in the team meeting. Stanley makes a note. Who decides what gets presented? Sarah Wellington. She's my direct manager. Maya Chun, Asian American consultant, 2nd year. Her voice is measured, controlled. I was told I'm too quiet for client-facing work. Not enough executive presence. But when I speak up in meetings, when I push back on strategy, I'm too aggressive. Need to read the room better. She looks at Stanley directly. I can't win. Who gave you that feedback? Sarah Wellington. 3 performance reviews in a row. Carlos Mendez, Latino senior analyst, 5 years at Morrison and Klein. He's tired. Stanley can see it in his posture. I've been passed over for promotion twice. Both times they said next cycle. Meanwhile, people hired after me. He stops. I'm good at execution, apparently. Just not leadership material. Stanley closes his laptop. Who makes promotion recommendations for your team? Sarah Wellington. By day 4, Stanley has the pattern. By day 7, he has documentation. He pulls HR records. Exit interviews from the past 3 years. Discrimination complaints. Promotion data broken down by demographics. The numbers are damning. In Sarah's subteam specifically, 0 promotions for 4 employees of color over 3 years. 6 of 7 white employees promoted during the same period. 4 formal complaints filed, all dismissed as communication issues or cultural misunderstandings. Then there are the emails. Sarah's name in the sender field, phrases that look professional on the surface but reveal everything underneath. Not sure if Jamal is the right fit for the Hartwell presentation. Maybe someone more polished? Maya needs to work on her executive presence before we can put her in front of executives. Carlos is great at execution, but I don't see him as leadership material yet. Stanley reads them twice. He's seen this language his entire career. Polished means sounds white. Executive presence means looks like us. Leadership material means fits our image of what a leader should be. Sarah never wrote the quiet part out loud. She didn't have to. Meanwhile, Sarah watches Stanley's calendar fill like water rising. 2-hour interviews. 3-year file requests. He spent 90 minutes with Marcus from accounting. Marcus, who barely says 3 words in meetings. The whispers spread through the department. He's building a case. He's documenting everything. Someone's getting fired. Derek stops by her office, confident as ever. I'm not worried. My numbers are solid. He leans against her doorframe. You shouldn't worry either. You landed Hartwell. Sarah nods, forces a smile, but something cold sits in her chest. Her numbers are solid. Her client retention is strong, but she's starting to realize that might not be enough. Week 2, Tuesday morning. Sarah's calendar pings with a new invitation. Stanley Davis has invited you to preliminary discussion. Duration, 30 minutes. Location, SVP office, 14th floor. Preliminary discussion. Not evaluation. Not check-in. Discussion. Her heart drops into her stomach. She has 48 hours. She spends them building her defense. Spreadsheets of wins. Client retention rates. Team productivity metrics. The Hartwell contract breakdown. 3 years of performance reviews, all strong. She practices in front of her bathroom mirror. Professional. Confident. Data-driven. Thursday arrives. She wears her best suit. Brings printed documentation. Her hands only shake slightly as she knocks on Stanley's door. Come in. She steps inside. Stanley sits behind his desk, 3 manila folders stacked in front of him. His expression is neutral, unreadable. Thank you for coming, Ms. Wellington. Please sit. Sarah sits. Places her folder on her lap like a shield. Stanley folds his hands. I'm not here to discuss your performance metrics. The floor drops out from under her. I'm here to discuss your leadership. Stanley's office is modern, minimalist. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing downtown Chicago, gray sky pressing against glass. Sarah sits across from him, her prepared folder suddenly feeling like a child's show-and-tell project. Sarah. His voice is neutral, professional. Thank you for coming. She tries to take control, tries to salvage this. Mr. Davis, I wanted to say how excited I am to have you leading our division. Your track record speaks for itself, and I'm looking forward to. We met before the Monday morning meeting. Do you remember? The question lands like a fist to the sternum. Sarah's prepared speech evaporates. Yes. In the lobby. I wanted to apologize. What exactly are you apologizing for? She fumbles for words. For the misunderstanding. I didn't know who you were. Stanley tilts his head slightly. So if you had known I was an executive, you would have treated me differently? Silence. The trap closes around her. Let me reframe. Stanley's voice remains calm, measured, devastating. You saw a black man in business casual. You immediately assumed he didn't belong. You refused to let him introduce himself. You directed him to security. Each sentence is a scalpel. That same afternoon, I reviewed security footage. A white male employee, also in casual clothes, walked through that lobby. You smiled at him. Called him by name. Mike. Sarah's face drains. I knew Mike. We've worked together for years. Exactly. Stanley leans forward slightly. You gave him the benefit of familiarity. You gave me suspicion. Question why? She tries every angle she can think of. It was a Sunday. I wasn't expecting. Expecting what? Black executives? I take building security seriously. Do you interrogate every casually dressed person? Or just certain ones? I would have done the same to anyone. We both know that's not true. Finally, desperately, I'm not racist. I don't use slurs, I voted for Obama, I have black friends. Sarah. Stanley's voice cuts through. Stop. This isn't about slurs or voting records. It's about who you see as belonging and who you question before they even open their mouth. He opens a folder. 3 years of data. This is why I'm really here. It's not about one lobby incident. It's about patterns. Promotion data. Exit interviews. Complaint records. In 3 years under your sub-team leadership, 0 people of color promoted. 6 white employees promoted. Sarah's hands start shaking. 4 complaints filed against your management style. All dismissed as communication issues. All from talented people who no longer work here. I promoted based on merit, her voice cracks. Stanley looks at her directly. Tell me, what does merit look like to you? Because from this data, merit looks a lot like you. The words hang in the air. I've spent 2 weeks here, Stanley continues. Know what I've learned? You're good at your job. Strong client relationships. Strategic thinker. Dedicated. Sarah feels a flicker of hope. But leadership isn't just about your own success. It's about who you bring up with you. And the people you've brought up all look the same. He pauses. Lets her sit with it. The question isn't whether you're intentionally racist. Most people with bias aren't intentional about it. The question is whether you're willing to do the uncomfortable work of examining your blind spots. Because right now, Sarah, you're a liability. Not because of your performance. Because of your leadership. The room feels airless. I'm still evaluating, Stanley says. But I want you to think about something. If I keep you on this team, can you change? Really change? Or will you just perform diversity for a few months and go back to your comfortable patterns? I don't need an answer today, but I'll need one soon. The meeting ends. Sarah stands on legs that don't feel like hers. Walks down the hall. Makes it to the bathroom. Locks herself in the stall. Her mind races. He thinks I'm racist. He has documentation. I'm gonna be fired. Then, but I'm not racist. I'm not. I didn't. Why is he making this about race? But underneath the defensiveness, something else. A question she's never let herself ask. What if he's right? 2 weeks pass. Sarah can't focus. Numbers blur on spreadsheets. Client emails sit unanswered. She starts noticing things she's never noticed before. How she assigns the high-profile clients. Hartwell went to Emma. Berkshire Tech went to Connor. The smaller accounts, the ones that won't make or break careers, those go to Jamal, to Maya, to Carlos. How she interrupts Maya in strategy meetings, but lets Derek finish every point, even when he rambles. How she describes people. She calls Emma polished, and Derek has strong executive presence. But Maya needs development, and Jamal is great with details but not quite ready. Ready for what? She never finishes that sentence. Week 3. Wednesday afternoon. Sarah walks past the break room, hears voices through the half-open door. You think the new SVP will actually change things? Jamal's voice. Lisa, white analyst from Sarah's team. Maybe. But Sarah's still our manager. And she's made it pretty clear who gets opportunities. I'm giving it 6 months. Jamal sounds tired. If nothing changes, I'm out. I didn't work this hard to be invisible. Sarah stands frozen in the hallway. They're talking about her. Her. She wants to walk in, defend herself, explain that she's fair, that she promotes based on merit. But the words die in her throat because she's starting to see what Stanley sees. A memory surfaces. 3 years ago, Michelle Harper, black female director from operations, pulled Sarah aside after a leadership meeting. You might want to examine who you're advocating for in promotion discussions. I've noticed a pattern. Sarah had bristled. I advocate for everyone. I don't see color. Michelle's response was quiet, careful. That's the problem. If you don't see color, you don't see the barriers. Sarah had walked away thinking Michelle was being oversensitive. Political. Playing identity politics. Now the words echo differently. Week 4. Stanley sends a company-wide email. Subject, mandatory training, unconscious bias in leadership. 2-day intensive workshop with external consultants. All managers and above required to attend. Dates and details to follow. Sarah's first reaction. This is performative. Corporate diversity theater that changes nothing. Her second thought, quieter. Why am I so angry about this? The answer she doesn't want, because it's uncomfortable. Because it might prove Stanley right. Thursday morning. Department meeting. Stanley presents data. Aggregated, no names, just patterns. Promotion rates by demographic. The differences are stark. Client assignment patterns. Larger accounts overwhelmingly go to white employees. Performance review language. Words like polished and executive presence appear 73% more often for white employees. Words like needs development and not ready yet appear 68% more often for employees of color. Sarah sees herself in every slide. Her decisions, her words, her leadership. Stanley ends with this. This isn't about blaming individuals. It's about fixing systems. But systems are made of choices. Individual choices. Daily choices. He looks around the room. If you're defensive right now, ask yourself why. That night, Sarah sits alone in her apartment with a glass of wine she's not drinking. She opens her laptop, types her own name plus complaints into Google. Glassdoor review from 2 years ago. Anonymous. Management plays favorites. If you don't fit their culture, you'll be sidelined. Plenty of talented people leave because they're never given a real shot. Another review from 18 months ago. Good company overall, but client strategy division has major diversity issues. Leadership claims to value inclusion, but actions tell a different story. Sarah thinks, that's not about me. Could be about anyone. But she knows. She knows it's her. 11 p.m. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She lets it go to voicemail. Later, she plays it back. Hey Sarah, this is Keisha. I know this is random, but I heard Stanley Davis is there now. I just wanted to say, I hope you listen to him. Really listen. Keisha. Left the company 18 months ago. Brilliant analyst. Always the first one in, last one out. I tried to tell you I felt unsupported, and you told me I needed to work on my confidence. But confidence wasn't the problem. The problem was you never saw me as leadership material. Maybe you didn't mean to. But impact matters more than intent. Pause. Traffic sounds in the background. Anyway, hope you're well. The voicemail ends. Sarah plays it again. And again. And again. Each time it hurts more. Because Keisha is right. Week 6. The calendar invitation appears. Final evaluation. Sarah Wellington, 60 minutes. Sarah prepares differently this time. No performance metrics. No defense documents. Just a legal pad with uncomfortable truths written in her own handwriting. Assumed Stanley didn't belong because of how he looked. Promoted Emma and Connor, but told Jamal he wasn't ready. Dismissed Michelle's feedback 3 years ago. Called it professionalism when it was really just comfort with people like me. She doesn't know if it will matter, but she needs to say it. Thursday, 2 p.m. Same office. Same windows. Different energy. Stanley gestures to the chair. I've completed my assessment. I'm going to be direct. Sarah nods. Braces. Your client performance is strong. Your strategic thinking is solid. But your leadership has caused measurable harm. He opens a folder. Shows her the full report. Names of employees who left. Talent pipeline she disrupted. Culture she perpetuated without questioning. You're not alone in this. The whole division had these problems. But you were in a position of influence, and you failed to use it responsibly. Sarah's throat tightens. She nods because she can't speak. Stanley slides 2 documents across the desk. You have 2 options. Option 1, severance package. 6 months salary, neutral reference, clean exit. You leave with your reputation mostly intact. Find a fresh start somewhere else. Option 2, stay. But not as senior manager. Demotion to senior consultant. 2 levels down. 30% pay cut. Report to Michelle Harper, the director who tried to warn her 3 years ago. Mandatory intensive bias training. 90-day probation. Any misstep, termination. Public acknowledgement to the team about commitment to change. After 12 months, maybe, an opportunity to earn her way back to management. Sarah stares at the options. Both feel like drowning. Take the severance. Pride intact, career salvageable, escape the discomfort. Stay. Public humiliation, financial hit, daily reminder of failure. This isn't punishment, Stanley says quietly. This is accountability. Option 2 is harder, but it's the only path to real change. If you take the severance, I'll understand. Most people choose comfort. But if you stay, I need real commitment. Not performance. Commitment. You have 48 hours to decide. The next 2 days are agony. Her sister, also white, also corporate. Take the money and run. Why put yourself through that? Her father, old school lawyer. Fight it. This is a PR move. Sue them. Jennifer from finance. Everyone will know you got demoted. It'll follow you forever. Everyone says leave. Protect yourself. Take the safe path. Saturday night. Sarah sits in her apartment, wine glass untouched, staring at both documents on her coffee table. She thinks about Keisha's voicemail. Impact matters more than intent. She thinks about Jamal, invisible despite his brilliance. Maya, told she's too quiet and too aggressive in the same breath. Carlos, waiting 5 years for next cycle. She thinks about the lobby. How certain she was. How quickly she decided Stanley didn't belong. She thinks about who she wants to be versus who she's been. The comfortable choice, leave. Start over somewhere else. Never face this again. Tell herself she's not that person anymore, without actually proving it. The hard choice, stay. Sit in the discomfort. Report to Michelle, who saw this coming years ago. Let everyone know she failed. Do the actual work of changing. For the first time in her life, Sarah chooses hard. She opens her laptop. Types with shaking hands. Mr. Davis, I'd like to accept option 2. I'm ready to do the work. Sarah. She hits send before she can second guess. 10 minutes later, Stanley replies. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bring humility. You'll need it. Month 1. Stanley calls a department meeting. Announces organizational restructuring. Sarah's demotion. Derek taking over as senior manager. He doesn't explain why. Doesn't mention the lobby. Just says, performance-based changes effective immediately. But people know. Rumors spread fast in corporate hallways. Sarah sits in the meeting, face burning, as colleagues avoid eye contact. Jamal catches her eye briefly. His expression is unreadable. Not gloating. Just waiting. Working under Michelle Harper is deliberate discomfort. I gave you feedback 3 years ago, Michelle says their first day. You ignored it. Now you're here because you have to be, not because you want to be. I want to change, Sarah says. Wanting isn't enough. Show me. First assignment, shadow Maya for a week. Watch how she navigates client meetings, how she's interrupted, how her ideas get credited to others. Sarah sees what she never saw before. The invisible labor. The constant proving. The exhaustion of being brilliant and still questioned. The bias training is 2 days of discomfort. Dr. James Chun, external facilitator, doesn't let anyone hide. Privilege inventory. Implicit association tests. Role-playing scenarios that make Sarah's skin crawl. 1 exercise. Describe a time you made an assumption about someone based on appearance. Sarah shares the lobby story. Out loud. In front of 30 colleagues. The room goes silent. Then Jamal speaks. Thank you for naming it. It's not forgiveness. It's acknowledgement. It's a start. Week 8. Michelle assigns Sarah to work directly with Jamal on a client proposal. Awkward at first. Jamal is professional but distant. Sarah tries apologizing. Jamal stops her. I don't need apologies. I need you to do differently. Apologies are cheap. They work late. Sarah catches herself about to interrupt Jamal's idea. Stops. Listens instead. His strategy is better than hers. She says so. Out loud. In the client meeting. Jamal's surprise is subtle. Thanks. That means something. Month 4. Setback. Sarah writes a performance review. Old language creeps back. Needs to work on executive presence. Michelle catches it immediately. Define executive presence. Sarah fumbles. Polished, confident. Does the white analyst who slouches and cracks jokes in meetings lack executive presence? Or just the black one who speaks with passion? Sarah realizes tone policing. Code words she learned without questioning. You're backsliding, Michelle says. Either commit or quit. I don't have time for halfway. Month 6. Breakthrough. Client pitch. Maya presents brilliant strategy. White male client looks skeptical. What do you think about this approach? He asks Derek. Old Sarah would have stayed silent. New Sarah speaks up. Maya's strategy is exactly right. Here's why. She backs Maya's idea with data and conviction. Client agrees. Pitch succeeds. Afterward, Maya pulls her aside. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Your idea deserved credit. I should have been doing that all along. Maya studies her. You're different. I'm trying. Month 9. Promotion cycle. Derek raises concerns about Marcus, young black analyst. I don't know if he's ready. He needs more polish. Old Sarah would have agreed. New Sarah pushes back. Define polish. Because Marcus's client retention is 95%. His strategic insights are consistently ahead of trends. If polish means code switching to make us comfortable, that's our problem, not his. The room goes quiet. Derek backs down. Marcus gets the promotion. Stanley watches from the back of the room. Says nothing. But Sarah sees the smallest nod. Month 12. Stanley calls her in. You've done the work. Real work, not performance. Michelle says you've earned back trust. I'm promoting you back to manager. Not senior manager yet. You'll report to Michelle for another year. Thank you. Don't thank me. This isn't a gift. It's earned. And the work doesn't stop. Sarah meets his eyes. I know. The work never stops. That's the point. 18 months later. Morrison and Klein lobby. Same glass and marble. Same afternoon light. Sarah exits the elevator, coffee in hand, heading to a client meeting. She sees a young black woman in professional casual attire, looking around uncertainly. Sarah's old instinct, is she lost? Sarah's new response, why am I assuming that? She approaches with a genuine smile. Hi, can I help you find something? The woman looks relieved. Yes, I have an interview with Stanley Davis's team. I'm a bit early. You're in the right place. I'm Sarah Wellington, manager in his division. Come on, I'll walk you up. In the elevator. Nervous? Terrified. This is my dream company. You're going to do great. Stanley's tough but fair. He hires for talent and character, not pedigree. Sarah hands her a business card. If you get the job and ever need anything, reach out. We support each other here. The woman looks surprised. Thank you. That's really kind. Sarah thinks, it's not kind. It's what I should have been doing all along. Upstairs, Stanley watches the interaction from his office window. Michelle walks in. She's come a long way. She has, Stanley says. But it took losing everything to get there. That's the part that frustrates me. Why does it take consequences for people to see? Because privilege is comfortable. Discomfort is the only teacher for people who've never had to learn. You think she'll sustain it? Michelle considers. I think she's genuinely committed. Will she mess up again? Probably. But now she knows to catch herself. That's progress. All hands meeting. 18-month mark since Stanley arrived. The numbers tell the story, retention rate up to 82%. Diverse talent pipeline at 47% of new hires. Promotion equity gap narrowed to 5%. Client satisfaction up 38%. This wasn't about being nice, Stanley tells the room. It was about being smart. Diverse teams perform better. Inclusive cultures retain talent. The data proves it. Industry conference. Panel on corporate transformation. Moderator asks Sarah, what was the turning point? When I stopped defending myself and started listening. When I realized that intent doesn't erase impact. She pauses. I spent 8 years thinking I was a good person, so I couldn't possibly have biases. But bias isn't about being good or bad. It's about unexamined assumptions we all carry. The hardest thing I ever did was admit I was part of the problem. The best thing I ever did was commit to being part of the solution. Audience question to Jamal, now senior manager. Do you trust Sarah now? Jamal pauses, thoughtful. Trust isn't binary. It's built through consistent action. Has Sarah changed? Yes. Do I trust her? I'm getting there. And that's realistic. Transformation isn't a moment, it's a practice. Stanley's closing remarks. This company didn't change because of one person. It changed because people chose discomfort over convenience. Sarah's story isn't about redemption. It's about accountability. She lost her position, her pride, her comfort. And in that loss, she found something more valuable, the ability to see beyond herself. But here's what matters. Every person in power has a choice. Examine your biases, or let them run unchecked. The lobby incident happened because Sarah saw what she expected to see, not who I actually was. How many talented people are invisible to you right now because you're not looking? 2 years after the original incident. Stanley exits the building, same white polo, same portfolio. Sarah's in the lobby. Have a good evening, Stanley. He nods. You too, Sarah. Simple. Professional. Earned respect, not given. Security guard Marcus, who witnessed the original incident, catches Sarah's eye. That's some growth right there. Sarah meets his gaze. Yeah, painful growth. The only kind that sticks. 2 years ago, a woman refused to shake my hand because she saw my skin color before she saw my credentials. She's not the villain. She's the lesson. Because she did what most people don't. She faced herself. Real change isn't comfortable. It's not fast. It's not a training module or a diversity statement. It's daily work, daily humility, daily choice. So ask yourself, when was the last time you questioned your assumptions? Who are you not seeing? What are you not noticing? The lobby is everywhere. The test is daily. And your response reveals everything. Kindly subscribe for workplace accountability stories and more interesting stories.